Foreign Affairs Minister Mélanie Joly is announcing new sanctions on Belarus. She explained why earlier today alongside Belarus's exiled opposition leader.
There are gross human rights violations in Belarus, and also because Belarus is complicit in Russia's invasion of Ukraine.
I'm so grateful for Minister Joly for such opportunity to tell Canada about Belarus, because our country now is going through very difficult times.
All right, Canada increased sanctions against the regime of President Alexander Lukashenko, targeting the military and security services that have aided Russia in its war with Ukraine. Sviatlana Tsikhanouskaya is Belarus's exiled opposition leader, and she joins me now. Ms. Tsikhanouskaya, I know you met with Prime Minister Justin Trudeau today, and beyond the sanctions that were announced, have you requested more aid of any type from Canada?
First of all, I have to say that Canada is showing its strong commitment to democratic principles. Since 2020, Canada joined individual and economic sanctions against Lukashenko's regime, provided financial assistance to Belarusian NGOs, and supported us in the UN and OSCE. And you know that we will never forget this. And of course, I welcome the sanctions imposed by the Canadian government today, and it's a clear sign that the crimes of Lukashenko will not stay unpunished. All the people from the regime must know that repressions against the people and assisting Kremlin in the war against Ukraine will cost them a lot. It's necessary to impose sanctions on the regime's propaganda outlets, TV channels, newspapers, propagandists, judges, and prosecutors, military officials who support the war and their repressions. It's crucial to develop the mechanism of sanctions enforcement.
So you got some of what you wanted from Canada, but I wonder if the other allied countries that are supporting Ukraine, particularly in Europe, if they are strong enough on the sanction front against Belarus. Do you need to see more from the European Union and other countries that are part of the fight against the Russian invasion?
You know, sanctions work only when they are joint and comprehensive. So I really want sanctions imposed by European Union, UK, Canada, and the USA to be aligned. I have to say that sanctions are tough enough, but there are so many loopholes left that regime can easily circumvent the sanctions. So we need mechanisms of following the sanctions enforcement, fulfillment, just to close all the possible circumvention of the sanctions.
You've also asked for non-lethal military aid because there are about 500 Belarusians who are fighting in Ukraine as part of the defense, fighting as volunteers there. Have you received any assurance from Canada that they'll get the aid that you've asked for?
You know, Canada is sending a lot of humanitarian aid to Ukrainian army, among which Belarusian military volunteers are fighting as well. So we asked for warm clothes, for non-lethal equipment, for medical assistance to Belarusian battalion directly, and I hope that Canadian government will be ready to supply with the necessary equipment to our people.
It's because Canada has committed to send winter gear to Ukraine for the Ukrainian soldiers, but you're looking for a special delivery simply for your countrymen who are fighting as volunteers in Ukraine, correct?
Yeah, absolutely. You know, it's important for Belarusian people who are inside country, who are in exile, to our military volunteers to feel that they are not abandoned, that they are not forgotten, and the special aid go particularly to Belarusians.
Right. So did Canada say yes to that? Are they considering it? Did you get any sense of what we might do?
I think that they will try to do something special for Belarusian military volunteers in Ukraine.
Okay. I wanted to ask you about the fact that right now there are thousands of Russian soldiers that have been deployed to Belarus. And there is some concern that they could be used to open up another front in the invasion of Ukraine, coming from the north into that country. How do you view that situation of that recent deployment of those soldiers to your country?
According to our intelligence, people intelligence in Belarus, about 12,000 Russian soldiers are launched on Belarusian territory, and new echelons are coming. I think that these troops are presented in Belarus first to create additional pressure on Belarusian people inside the country, but also to keep Ukrainian army in stress all the time, to distract their attention from hot sports on eastern part of the country to Belarusian Ukrainian borders. They show that they're also only training there, but for sure all those forces can be used to try to invade Ukraine from Belarusian side again. But what is more obvious that Belarus can be used again as launching pad for missiles, for air attacks. But of course, it's created additional pressure on Ukrainian army.
I know the situation in Ukraine is far from settled, though the Ukrainian military seems to have pushed Russia back to a considerable degree. I wonder if Ukraine is able to win this, what would the impact of that be in Belarus, and in particular for the opposition to Mr. Lukashenko?
The fate of Belarus and Ukraine are deeply intertwined. We fully realize that the fate freedom in Belarus is connected with the victory of Ukraine. When Ukrainians wins with the help and assistance of the whole democratic world and the Belarusians themselves, the window of opportunities for Belarusian democratic forces will appear. And our task is to prepare for this moment. That's why we are not just sitting and waiting when Ukrainians wins. We are building structures inside Belarus. We are creating multiple points of pressure on the regime from inside the country and outside the country. And our task is to feel this moment and to use it.
Okay, Sviatlana Tsikhanouskaya, thank you so much for speaking with me today.
Thank you.